Meow, meow, me, meow, 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 meow. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here. RIOT, a lot of people's favorite chart. What is it doing? Monthly chart right here. You're seeing whales are not really in yet, both in terms of the monthly as well as the weekly. They're not in yet. Mostly still predominantly retail. Although over the last couple of weeks, it's been a little bit less retail, a little tiny bit more whales, but still predominantly retail. So it's not really yet favorable, unfortunately. If you look at the Ichimoku cloud, you can see that it did have a bullish cross over here, and right now the conversion line is still above the baseline, so you still had the bullish cross still relatively intact. But the problem is price is underneath both of these lines over here. Where are the lines right now? Around 12, around 13. So these are 13 and a half actually. So these are important resistance zone right about here on the monthly chart, as you can see. And the tail is going to be pretty much very consistent. If you look at all the other indicators, you look at the Super Ichi cloud, which is a variant of the Ichimoku cloud, you have the conversion line versus Super Ichi cloud is going to be around $12, right? That's another confluence zone of resistance. Look at the Bollinger Band right now, we're at resistance. It's right at the 20-month moving average. You can reject it here so far. So that's another resistance level right here, and that is around 10.5. A couple other things to look at. You look at the Bollinger support band, it's also serving as resistance right now. It's around 11.5 or so. So all of this is going to be a pretty confluent resistance zone that you're seeing. Even if you look at the EMA ribbon, you look at the 20-month moving average and the 50-month exponential moving average. The EMA ribbon is showing you that, yeah, it's still a bear trend, and right now it's still underneath of that. The bottom of the ribbon is around $12. The top of the ribbon is around $13. Right? Again, very, very confluent zone of resistance over here. So unless it breaks about resistance, I think we're still leaning a little bit bearish, and we don't have any bullish momentum going on yet, unfortunately, right? And that's just the tail of the monthly chart. If you look at the weekly chart, and if you're trying to see what is bullish about it, well, you did have a very nice hammer candle over here that looks like it's the bottom. It looks like it could just be the bottom. Like, this is super nice, right? So I don't think price is necessarily going to end up going down below like $8 to like $8 or something like that. I'm just not sure it's necessarily going to end up doing that. It looks like we had a pretty nice bounce from here as well. So what are we seeing here? I'm seeing that the range right now for over the last year and a half, the bottom range is around around $9. Top of range is around like 18 to $20. Right? So it's just been stuck in a whole range over here for a whole year, doing absolutely nothing, and it's trendless. Looking at Ichimoku cloud, it's just been oscillating up, down, right now is underneath of it. And right now we are underneath the conversion line, which means that we're still underneath resistance, close to around $11. You look at a Bollinger Band, which is, again, the same thing, right? The 20-week moving average is a part of the bull market support band. We're underneath of the bull market support band as resistance. And the bull market support band is going to be around 11 to 11.5 or so. So you're really running into a lot of resistance that RIOT is just having a hard time trying to break above. Look at the EMA ribbon, same thing, right? 20-week exponential, 50-week exponential. You got a red ribbon over here, which is bearish, and it's serving as resistance. Pretty apparent so far. So you're really talking about a stock that has been just underneath resistance, trying to break up, but not quite, but really hard to get over its resistance because so far there's really no momentum coming in. You look at the GAN that I drew, I really thought that we bounced from this angle over here, 45-degree angle over here, and it's just basically been ranging around here. Now it's ranging between the arc over here and the angle over here. You might go a little bit longer, actually, go another month or two. Can you imagine that? And most likely, I think eventually it's going to hit 13.6, which is going to be a confluence of a lot of resistance that I was showing you. He was able to break above the zone and even break above the 0.136 Fibonacci level, calculated from the previous cycle high to the cycle low. Then you're really talking about potentially it could go up in a hurry to somewhere in the high 20s, mid 20s, somewhere around there. And once it breaks above that, you're talking about $40. Once you're breaking above that, then you're talking about some of the higher targets. But right now, I just cannot really guarantee that's going to happen because it's just stuck in the range. And it's also stuck underneath these couple of Fibonacci levels over here. So we'll see what happens. That's RIOT. Let's talk about HUT. HUT's actually looking more and more bullish. Actually, it's been losing a ton of momentum for a very long time, but momentum is back for HUT. There are a couple of things I want to show you. First of all, there's an increase in whale and there's a decrease in retail. That is pretty apparent if you look at the weekly chart over here too. That was a monthly chart. You can see that in the weekly chart. You definitely can see it, right? So there's an increased trend in bullishness over here to consider. And if you go back to the monthly, you just look at the Ichimoku cloud, there's not quite yet a bullish cross, but it looks like it could happen in the month of July. And when that happens, and if price is able to break above both the conversion or Tenkan and the baseline or Kijun, is able to break above that, backtest it, it could go up higher. And it looks like it's got a really, really nice setup over here so far. Supaichi cloud, looks like we're trying to reclaim the Supaichi Tenkan over here too. The Tenkan's around 12.6, right? So there's a lot of confluence saying that, hey, we might be kind of, doing a little bit of a breaking out here, some bullish momentum here going on, even though it's been just absolutely brutal over here for the entire 2 years. Look at the Bollinger Band, what are you going to see? Well, it reclaimed the 20-month moving average so far. It got above of it, which is a bullish sign. Looks like even if it comes back and back tests it before going up higher, it's still pretty bullish, right? You have Bollinger Band not really like squeezing hard, but it's just been going sideways and going flat. This looks like it's maybe getting ready for the next move. And if price end up keep on staying on the upper part of the Bollinger Band, the 20-month moving average is going to curl up and it's going to serve as support to push price up a lot higher. But it's still a laggard, obviously, because it's been really spending 2 years doing absolutely nothing. Looking at some of the other indicators, going to the weekly here, again, you have a very, very nice bull trend. Don't let it fool you, because sometimes you can have some fluctuations here on the weekly, and next thing you know, it doesn't take a whole lot to, for what else you kind of leave it on the weekly chart and for the ties to change. So I think that's why monthly chart is a little bit more telltale sign. But on the weekly chart, a couple of things I want to show you. First of all, I want to show you, are we at resistance? Just like RIOT, yes we are. We're at resistance at the weekly Ichimoku cloud. So like I said, don't let this increase in relative momentum fool you. Sometimes you can be hitting resistance like it did over here on increasing relative momentum, but you're hitting key resistance over here at the top of the cloud, and it just end up getting rejected, right? Over here, again, there's a lot of increased relative momentum running into the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud and got rejected over there, right? It's kind of amazing how like HUT really follows the Ichimoku cloud very, very crazy in terms of the exact levels, Right now, we booked down underneath the cloud and we're trying to backtest the cloud, so I'm not sure we're going to go through it the first time. There's potential for it to go down sideways a little bit longer before breaking out. I'm just not sure if we're quite ready yet. Let's go to Bollinger Band here. It's just another reason why I think we might not be quite ready yet, because even though the Bollinger Band is squeezing, allowing price to kind of make a little bit more of a volatile move, which it did to the upside. And even though it's expanding right now, price is still a little bit too high away from the upper Bollinger Band. So I can foresee this because it is at the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud, because it's at the upper Bollinger Band. It could go down. It might test the conversion line over here as it continues to go up. So it might go down to maybe like 10 or 11 bucks, somewhere around there, trying to build some sideways energy and try to push through the cloud. Maybe is what it's trying to do. I do not know, but it looks like certainly this might be a beginning of a pretty important bull trend that might end up requiring some cool down before going up further. That is the weekly chart of HUT8. Same thing, it's reclaimed the bull market support band. That's also a very, very important thing. So as far as I can say, is stuck in the range right now. There's enough whales to try to push above, but probably not quite yet. You might probably need to range a little bit longer before breaking out. So this whole thing here looks more bullish than RIOT, doesn't it? Even though, everybody, including myself, has been trashing on HUT, like it's really turning more and more bullish, which is kind of crazy to think about. But don't forget, this is a stock that also has gone sideways for about a whole 2 years. So be wary, I guess. Looking at the GAN that I draw over here, you can tell that it is breaking out into a very important zone. And it could be having a little bit more upsides over here before finding seriously some pretty important resistance. Although, you do have Ichimoku cloud resistance right here, right at the Fibonacci level of 0.136, around 14.64. The top of the Ichimoku cloud is right there. So even if it breaks through, I think we might end up getting rejected over here by the 0.136 Fibonacci retracement level here first. come down here, find support before pushing up, and once you break above the arc, you might back test it before going up higher. If it's able to do that, if the bull market really gets started, if you're able to break above all this resistance over here, it could potentially hit some of the higher levels up here in a hurry. You're talking about in the 50s and 60s. If the bull market returns back to Bitcoin and if Bitcoin does really well. So that's kind of what I'm seeing here with with HUT. Gonna go to the next one. This one has been capturing a lot of people's imagination. This one has been capturing a lot of people's fascination. This one is Bitdeer, BTDR. Going back to the monthly chart, there's no whole lot of history here. Low IPO around $10, and it's just been going sideways for a very, very long time until it starts to have volatility that happened around April 2023. All it's been doing right now is just consolidating sideways to form a diamond. That's really all it's been doing. But this big giant green candle over here has a lot of whalish momentum going with it. We'll see whether or not it's sustainable, but so far it's looking pretty good. On the monthly chart, you don't quite have the Ichimoku cloud. You have a little bit of leading span line over here that will eventually form the cloud, but not quite. You are able to reclaim both the conversion and the baseline. That's always a good sign. Let's see if it sustains up here. Trying to reclaim over here, but it didn't sustain, did it? Ended up having a lot of these kind of inside candles down here, consolidating downwards for about 5 months before pushing up again. I think that we probably had enough energy to go up higher, but $10 is going to be a very important resistance zone. Just look at how long prices span around this level. The algorithm is going to take that into account. Even though this might be all artificial, like it doesn't matter. Like algorithm might still take into account. It might still serve as a very important both psychological level as well as a technical level. So we're stuck right now at a very important zone. And it looks like we're also able to reclaim the 20-month moving average. You have the 20-month average really starting to go flat over here, which is favorable. You have the price getting back above the 20-month moving average, which is also very favorable. So all it has to do is just stay above the 20-month moving average for long enough for you to really develop a bull trend before going up higher. And I gotta say, Bitdeer actually has turned around a corner, because I've got asked like a few months ago, especially like around December, January or so. I just couldn't see questions yet because it does look like it's not ready to run. There's a lot of reasons to why I thought that was, but it looks like it's turned around a corner. It looks like it wants to do like a little rising 5 kind of thing. So yeah, Bitdeer is not bad. I gotta say, it's not bad. Looking at the weekly chart, I'm gonna show you a couple of things here. So first of all, this candle over here is a little bit different from this candle over here. It's got a little bit of wick underneath. Also, I don't think this is like a hammer top or anything like that, but it's basically saying $10 is a pretty strong resistance zone. Price trying to break above, have a hard time doing it. So price naturally goes down for this week, but it's found a lot of demand over here in the confluent zone of this horizontal zone over here that dates all the way back to April 2023. So we're able to bounce back above and form a very, very nice hammer. It could be a hammer top, I suppose. We'll see how it goes tomorrow, but I doubt this is the top. If it is, it's just temporary. It might go back down and test some support before going up higher. This is one of the more bullish charts. Whales are in, right? Not just on the monthly, but also on the weekly. Put up the Ichimoku cloud. What did it do? It broke above the cloud on high volume, and it back tested the cloud on declining volume. This is a pretty bullish look to that, as opposed to back here when it tried to reclaim the cloud. Way too far, way too fast, got exhausted, fell underneath the cloud. You don't really have that problem this time. You do have a little bit of resistance over here from the baseline, the kitchen, which is going to be around like $9.8 or so. But overall, the trend is very, very nice. And it looks like it just formed high and a higher low over here. We'll see whether or not it's able to form a higher high upcoming. We'll see about that. Bollinger Band, what is it doing? Expanding. Look at how nice this is. Upper band up, lower band down, 20-week moving average pointing up. This is a very, very beginning, very, very nice bull trend. And price just simply got way too far outside the weekly upper Bollinger Band, and it got pulled down. It couldn't stay down because it's looking more bullish. Whales are in. So it ended up pushing it back above the upper Bollinger Band. I think most likely it might end up going sideways, or it might end up just going up a little bit. But this is very, very impulsive price action to settle a very, very nice potential bull trend moving forward on the weekly here. Just looking at my GAN is basically saying, yeah, $10 is a resistance zone, not just from the psychological level of $10, but also looking at the Fibonacci level from its previous all-time high down to its all-time low. You do a Fibonacci retracement, you're going to see that 0.618, which is the golden ratio, is going to be around 10.18. So you know that around $10 is going to be a pretty strong resistance. Once you break above $10 though, you're talking about maybe challenging some of the arcs up here and the angles up here. So maybe the low teens and this horizontal zone over here around 13. If it's able to get back above and challenge all that stuff right there, if it wants to go higher, can hit the arc over here around the high teens, can hit the horizontal zone over here around 20. It could go even higher this cycle. Everything's possible. But right now we're at important resistance. We're trying to break above. So we'll see if we can do it. It looks like certainly the weekly trend, if you look at the Bollinger Band, you look at the weekly here, it is favorable. So that's all I got for Bitdeer. Look at the next one, which is BTBT. If I had to get into two of these stocks, again, like last week or two, I was showing you these miners that I don't own. You know, I own 6 of them. I own CleanSpark, Mara, Dit Farms, Cypher, Irene, and Wolf. I don't own any of the other miners over here. But if I had to pick 2, I think the first one would probably be BTDR. The second one may be around either HUT or BTBT based on the charts. If you look at BTBT, it's been kind of trying to turn around the corner here a little bit. Look at Ichimoku Cloud. Very nice bullish cross over here. Right now it's just back testing the baseline, and we're still getting a little bit rejected over here. Baseline is around $2.9. BTBT currently is, wait, hang on. Yeah, $2.9. BTBT is currently around 2.9 as well. So you're getting rejected right around there, right? I really like to see it break back above me, stuck in a range a little bit before breaking up higher. But it's trying, it's consolidating, it's looking pretty good. Tsubishi Cloud telling me the same thing. Tsubishi Cloud actually looks like it already tried to reclaim the Tenkan or the conversion line, which is around 2.73. It looks like it's trying to reclaim it. And if you also look at the Bollinger Band, it's been reclaiming a rising 20-month moving average here as well. So that's also a pretty positive sign. Bollinger Band looks like it wants to squeeze. And once it squeeze, a big move could come. Most likely it's going to end up pushing up higher if you're having a Bitcoin and altcoin rally. Whales are in, they've been in, but they stayed in, and they are coming back over the last couple of months. So there are a lot of things that are looking relatively favorable here on this monthly chart. Let's go to weekly chart and see what we're saying. I think just like a lot of the other Bitcoin miners that are not in, just like what I was showing you with HUD 8, BTBT is going through the same thing, is backtesting the bottom of the Ichimoku Cloud after it broke down on declining volume, but whales are going up. So there's a lot of conflicting information here. It wants to push inside the cloud. Whales are trying to break inside the cloud, but volume is actually declining a little bit. This doesn't mean it can't break through. All it takes just a little bit of volume like it did over here to really break through, make some pretty crazy moves. But BTBT is stuck underneath a resistance right now, and something important to come in mind, right? It's also kind of stuck in a range over here in the Tsubishi Cloud. On the Bollinger Band, it looks like it's squeezing a little bit, but it's just having a hard time trying to get back to the upper Bollinger Band because of the Ichimoku Cloud. That's what exactly it's doing, right? But it looks like it's squeezy. It looks like it wants to make a big move. So who knows? Maybe the big move is break about these Ichimoku Cloud and just end up going a lot higher, maybe around like 3.7 or so, and end up consolidating down here in the cloud before going up higher. Certainly looks like a squeezy, and maybe begin to expand here a little bit. In 20-week average looks like it wants to potentially curl up, right? And it does have the bull market support band as support right now, so things are not looking bad. On top of that, you look at the whalish momentum. You have the increasing whalish momentum over the last few weeks. So there's a lot of good things kind of going for it. If you look at the GAN that I drew here, you also really kind of essentially broke above a range over here, right? Broke above this arc over here. If it's able to break above the Ichimoku Cloud, then you're really talking about hitting the top of range, which is $4. If it's able to break above all these major resistance over here, really talking about maybe like $7-8, potentially around like $15, and potentially even higher. It depends on how the bull market goes. But right now we're underneath resistance, and it could get rejected and can go down further, right? There's no guarantee, but I like the fact that it's trying. I like the fact that the whales are coming in. So so far so good, yeah. That's BTBT. going to show you another chart. This is HIVE. A lot of people are starting to say on the forums that HIVE is undervalued. It may very well be, but I'm going to show you what I'm seeing here on the technicals. And what I'm showing you here, let's look at the EMA ribbon. It's underneath of that. Let's look at the Tsubichi cloud over here. It's underneath the conversion line. Let's look at the Ichimoku cloud over here. It's underneath both the conversion line and the baseline, or Tenkan and Kijun, and they really haven't had a bullish cross quite just yet. If you look at a Bollinger Band, it's hitting resistance right at the 20-month moving average, right? So you're really talking about HIVE, you're really talking about a tail of a stock that's underneath resistance, just like RIOT and a little bit like HIVE, right? So yeah, it could very well be undervalued. It certainly looks like this month whales have started to come back in, but 1 month does not make a trend, right? So there's still a lot of things to kind of watch. You do have 3 weeks of increased bullish momentum over here, and the volume is increasing. Let's look at Ichimoku cloud here. What do I think is going to happen? It's probably going to end up hitting the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud over here, a little bit less than 4.2, 4.3 or around here. It's probably going to end up having enough energy to push up to the cloud, and hopefully it ends up ranging underneath the cloud before going up higher. That's kind of what I'm seeing here with HIVE. If you look at the bull support band, it is reclaimed the bull support band, which allows it to maybe perhaps go up even higher on high volume with some increasing relative momentum. Okay. If you look at the Gann square that I drew over here, is hitting some pretty important resistance over here too. It's trying to break above the zone, but it's hitting a lot of resistance all the way up to like $3.9. That's going to be right around here where the baseline is going to be at. And above that, you have important resistance over here, which is the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly. So you have a lot of resistance trying to break through. I'm not saying that it's not going to, but I'm just saying, maybe be a little bit more cautious. You do have some positive energy there coming in, but you're also potentially hitting some very, very important resistance zone over here. So you could end up having, a little bit more of a brutal correction before going up higher. Or it may not end up doing that. If Bitcoin ends up being a very, very powerful bull market, HIVE might actually end up breaking all these resistance, just keeps going higher. But so far price only gone from like $2.3 to like 3.4, and you're really not talking about too much overextension here on the weekly Ichimoku cloud and the weekly Bollinger Band. Even on the daily Bollinger Band, it's just a little bit outside the upper Bollinger Band here is being dragged back down inside of it. I can still see that this can go up higher and break above the arc, and eventually hit perhaps this resistance zone right here around $4, and maybe a little bit more above around 4.2, 4.3. That's what I'm seeing here for HIVE. But maybe things are looking a little bit better. No confirmation though, right? GREE, G-R-E-E. If you're greedy, you may want to look at this chart because it looks like it's a very, very important, bottoming formation here on the weekly chart. On the monthly chart, you can also see maybe a little bit of like an atom and potentially an Eve bottom over here. Speculation only. Looking at the Ichimoku cloud, underneath a lot of resistance over here, no bullish cross. Looking at the Tsubichi cloud, way underneath resistance, right? Looking at the Bollinger Band, underneath a declining 20-month moving average. Although this monthly chart over here with the Bollinger Band looks like it wants to squeeze very, very hard, and the 20-month moving average is flattening. So if it ends up flattening, if we're reclaiming and we squeeze very hard, it might go up a lot higher. That's really the one thing I'm seeing that could be potentially bullish about it. Whales are kind of coming in a little bit. There's really not much whalish momentum to really be confirming this trend. But if you want to bet on an atom and potential Eve over here, it may not be a bad idea because the Bollinger Band looks like it's squeezing, so a potential big move may be coming soon. Ichimoku cloud, again, let's look at the weekly here. Look at the weekly Ichimoku cloud. Where are we? We're reclaiming the conversion line. That's a good sign. We have 2 weeks of increasing relative momentum, although it's still pretty low. That's a little bit of a good sign. There's a ways from where price is to the Ichimoku cloud, so that's a good sign because it could go all the way from 3.4 all the way up to like $6, and it would still be, not a whole heck of a lot of resistance here on the weekly Ichimoku cloud. Okay. Look at the Bollinger Band. What is it doing? Just squeezing, trying to reclaim the 20-week moving average, trying to reclaim the bargain support band. Not a bad look so far here on the weekly, although monthly is just except that you're getting a little bit of a squeeze. So sometimes these miners, whenever they have big things happen, it can happen in a hurry and it just end up running. It looked like it might have that look to it if you want to bet, but there's no confirmation. Right, that's the story behind GREE, unfortunately. I don't have a GAN for this because there's really not much to GAN, to be completely honest with you. So I'm just going to let this one go. Next thing I'm going to show here is Digihost. This is also one that I've been asked before. Monthly chart, Ichimoku Cloud, bullish cross, underneath both the Tenkan and Kijun, serving as resistance. Right, no whales, unfortunately. Tsubeichi Cloud underneath resistance here at the Tenkan, or the conversion line of the Tsubeichi Cloud. Bull in Japan underneath a rising 20-month moving average, right? So still a tail. A lot of these miners I'm not in right now, they're in tail underneath like these pretty important resistance. Looking at the, sorry, not this one, looking at the EMA ribbon underneath a very thick EMA ribbon, right? So that's a little bit less favorable too on the monthly. It could break into the ribbon, it can go all the way up to like 2.7, and that could potentially still be a lot of profit to be made, right? But this big thick ribbon may suggest that we might not be ready to push up above quite just yet. We will see. Weekly chart, no whales. Ichimoku Cloud underneath resistance here at the Ichimoku Cloud, just like a lot of the other miners that I don't own that I just talked about. Right. Bull in Japan underneath the 20-week moving average, underneath a slightly negative sloping bull market support band over here, trying to break above for a long time. Haven't been able to yet. So this is still underneath resistance as far as I'm concerned. Now, I don't think I have a GAN for this one too, but it's important to think about a lot of these stocks are kind of still stuck in the range and underneath a very important Fibonacci level. For example, for Digihost, it's just been struggling, man. It's just been struggling to break about the 0.136, which is the 2.2. It's just been struggling for really trying to break about the zone. It's been spending like a year and a half trying to break about this, and it's still unable to do so, right? But it's looking a little bit better and better. It looks like it's spending a lot of energy trying to break back above. But so far, again, it's still kind of stuck underneath these resistance over here. So we've spent a long enough time to try and break above, so I don't know whether or not we're going to end up doing it or not. But I can see this being a lot more likely to do so just because a lot of energy has been building up for so long. CORZ! Let's talk about CORZ. There's not a whole lot of history as this company went bankrupt and came back. What am I seeing? Well, the bull in Japan is just now starting to show up. You spend 2 weeks way outside upper Bollinger Band, and so far this week it's just trying to get back close to your upper Bollinger Band. It couldn't even touch it. That's how bullish this stock is. The lower Bollinger Band is slowing all the way down. This is a very, very nice bullish look, but we're overextended. So it's probably going to end up cooling down a little bit, but that says so when the price is over here, right? So again, don't let me stop you from making money if you're strong enough to be in this stock. You can do whatever you want. I just don't like to chase. I really don't like to chase. On the daily, it looks like whales are kind of cooling down here a little bit. I think it's probably just a little bit of correction. Could it retrace back to the mean around 7.5? Sure. I don't think this gap is necessarily going to end up closing this cycle, but I think that retracement to the mean is not out of the question. But it can also have some bullish continuation that might end up just going sideways and go right up higher, waiting for the 20-week moving, that's 20-day moving average to push up higher, right? But so far it's looking like a very impulsive bull trend that might need to cool down here a little bit. Again, if you want to get into CORZ, don't let me stop you. At the top of the upper Bollinger Band here may not be a bad place to buy if this is really like one of those crazy parabolic movie matches end up going higher. Don't let me stop you from making money. I'm not buying it though. Anyway, spend some time talking about all these miners. Hope you enjoy. Usually I don't make that much revenue on ads from these, maybe like $1 or $2. So I'm mostly doing it for fun, but I hope you enjoy it. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.